ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी नमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the Srimad Bhagavatam thematic series. In the last few classes, we have been discussing the series of verses in this section where Suta Goswami is answering uh, the sages of Naimisharya's questions, and especially the first two questions: what is the highest benefit for humanity, and what is the essence of all scriptures? So, through Anvaya, positive concomitance, he proves it. The highest benefit and the essence of all scriptures is to practice bhakti. And through negative concomitance, he is proving how Varnashram is not parodharma. What it is not, by saying what is not, you say what it is. So, in that sense, in that series, we have been seeing these verses that if one is situated in the Swadharma, Dharma Swanishtita, and has not developed Vishwaksena Kata Ruchi, then his all performance of Varnashram is simply a useless labor. Shama evahi kevalam. And those who are dharmasya hi apavargasya, those who practice dharma with the goal of apavarga, that is for devotees who have the goal of prema, because sadhana bhakti goal is to attain prema bhakti, and in one sense it is bhava bhakti, which is the ankur of prema bhakti. Arthaya upakalpate. They are not after artha. Na artha dharma ekantasya. And one who is dharma ekantasya, one who is fixed in dharma in the form of sadhana bhakti to attain prema bhakti, he doesn't uh, use the artha for kama. Kamasya na indriya priti. Jiveta, uh, jiveta, as long as one is living. Labha, it is not used for that. Then Jivan is meant for what? Tattva jigyasa. Jivasya tattva jigyasa. Na yascha karma bhi. So now, uh, what is that absolute truth? That is defined in Vadanti Tat Tattva Vidas. Yesterday we saw Srila Prabhupada's purport on this. Today we'll see Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's purport on this. So commentary on Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. What is that highest truth? Tattvam. This verse explains. The highest truth is explained in this verse. It is Advaya Gyan. That highest truth is Advaya Gyan. And what is that Gyan? What is Gyanam? It is called Brahman. What the Gyanis call Brahman is Gyanam. So for the Gyanis, they call it Brahman. For them, this is Gyanam. According to them, it is without form, without distinction of knower and known, a condition of consciousness alone. So this statement has to be understood. Anyone would like to give us understanding of what this statement means? According to them, it is without form, without distinction of knower and known, a condition of consciousness alone. Anyone would like to try? Especially without distinction of knower and known, a condition of consciousness alone. What does this mean? The statement. Brahma Gyan, what is Brahma Gyan is being, explained here. Anyone would like to try? Okay, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, it means to say that Jiva and Lord is one. There is no difference. This is how I can make out. And it's just all pervading Brahman form. There is no other aspect of the Lord. This is being denoted.
Yes, yes. So I'll just give you a hint of, what is their Jnana Sadhana. See, we yesterday studied Prabhupada's purport about how there is knower and the known, the Kshetragya and the Kshetra. The knower is the Atma, and known is, this body or outside of the body. And there is relativity, and that's why there is difference between the knower and the known. In the absolute, there is no difference because everything is absolute there. Everything is spirit there. So, but here, this terminology of knower and known has a different understanding, and we have to have that understanding. What is that Gyan Sadhana? So, there is a conscious perceiver, which is a subject, and what you are perceiving, there is an object. I'm just giving this example just for the point to make it clear. Don't take it otherwise. Suppose a man is, observing a woman. She's, looking somewhere else, but he's looking. So there is a perceiver and there is perceived. The subject is the perceiver and the object is the woman which is being perceived. And there is a stream of consciousness which is flowing from the perceiver to the perceived. Now, generally, women are blessed. If somebody is looking at them, they come to know by Krishna's mercy. So there is the perceiver is conscious that he is perceiving because the nature of Atma is consciousness, Sat, Chit, Chit and Anand. And the woman also becomes what is perceived she also, realizes that somebody is looking at me, right? There is a stream of consciousness which is flowing from the perceiver to the perceived. So, according to the Gyan sadhana of the Gyanis, and very closely to the Mayavadis also, this concept applies similarly, but there is a subtle difference which we'll not go into. What exists is that there is no perceiver, there is no perceived. There is only what exists is consciousness, all pervading consciousness, which is called as Brahman. So, what exists is only a condition of consciousness alone. So, this is, their idea. This is that Gyan. What the Gyanis call Brahman is Gyanam. So, this is that Gyanam. This Gyanam is called Paramatma by yogis. Now, uh, if you remember in our yesterday discussion, uh, what exists, Sat is they can realize the Sat aspect of the absolute truth, the Brahma, the Gyanis, should they call it as Brahman, that is, eternity. What is only existing is eternity, consciousness. That's it. All pervading consciousness, only consciousness alone. Now, the Paramatmavadis realize the Sat and the Chit feature. So, what is that Jnanam for the Paramatmas? This Jnanam is called Paramatma by the yogis. It is called as Paramatma. This Jnanam is Advaitam because of oneness between him and his Shaktis, Jiva and Prakriti, because as cause he pervades the effect, this universe. The Lord is the cause, the effect is this universe. The prison like abode, and because Paramatma is non-different from his form and abodes through particularization of his consciousness aspect. Now, this is again a little technical, and we need to understand the statement very, very clearly. This Jnanam is Advaitam because of oneness of him and his Shakti. This we have to understand. There is oneness between the Lord and his Shakti. And this universe is the Bhairanga Shakti of the Lord. His Shaktis are two, the Jiva Shakti, which is called as the Tatastha Shakti, and the Bhairanga Shakti, which is the eightfold, Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada. And because he, as cause, the Lord is cause of both the Jiva and the Prakriti, he pervades the effect. That is this creation, that is the Prakriti, this universe. The prison like abode. This material world is a prison. And because Paramatma is non-different from his form and abodes, so the Paramatma is non-different through particularization of his consciousness aspect. So his consciousness is, you know, takes a little, particular, you know, form. This abode and his form is, particularized. Like I'll give you an example to understand the statement. Like the sun rays are all pervading, and there is a particularization. If you bring all the sun rays together, it takes the shape of a sun disk. So there is a particularization of the consciousness aspect in the form of his abode and his form. So that is why the Hiranyagarbhas, the Paramatmavadis, yogis, they uh, meditate on this universe as the Lord. So this is the Paramatma feature. There is particularization of the consciousness aspect. There is particularization of the consciousness aspect. According to the yogis, the form of Paramatma is still pure Gyan because his form is also the same knowledge. It's pure Gyan according to them. Even though he is pure Jnana, Paramatma is also the shelter of particularization of Jnana because he performs functions such as acting as the witness. Upadrashtacha, Anumantacha. So according to them, Paramatma is a pure Gyan. He is a shelter of the particularization of that Gyan. I told you that sun rays, when you all get together, it is the sun disk. So that is gyan, that is pure gyan. And he is, you know, like, again, I'll give you some example. This whole consciousness is pervading in the entire body, and you draw all that consciousness and bring it. It comes, to the soul, because the soul is the source of the consciousness, and it is spread to the body. Similarly, this whole universe uh, is in the form of the Lord's body only, and that particularization of consciousness is. So he is like he's a witness. He's a witness. He's acting. He performs functions such as acting. Paramatma is just like the sun or a lamp. It's just like the sun. Though the sun is very form of light, it is also the possessor of luminosity. So the sun is a very form of light, and it possesses luminosity. Thus, there is no contradiction. Paramatma is understood to have a form as shown in the following verse. So Paramatma is understood to have form, and Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is giving a praman to it. Kechid swe, kechid swa deyantar हृदयावकाशे प्रदेशमात्रं पुरुषं वसन्तं चतुर्भुजं कञ्जरताङ्ग शङ्खगदा धारं धारणा smaranti. Others conceive of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please remember this term, conceive. It is a conception. They conceive of the Supreme Personality. Kechit smaranti purusham, residing within the body in the region of the heart and measuring only 8 inch. Swa dehe antar hridaya avakashe and pradesha matram vasantam. Vasantam means he is residing. Where is residing? In the region of the heart. Swa dehe antar hridaya avakasha. And what is his size? 8 inch. Pradesha matram. 8 inch. With 4 hands carrying a lotus. Chaturbhujam kanja dharana. A wheel of a chariot. Ratanga. A conch shell. Shankha. And a club, respectively, Gadadharam. This is from the second canto, because the whole second canto deals with the Virata Purusha, that is how the yogis meditate on the universe as the form of the Lord. This is gross, or they meditate on the subtle form in the form of the Paramatma in the heart. So that is why Paramatma is understood to have a form. That's the point being made. Now, this Jnanam is called Bhagwan by the devotees. So this Jnanam is called Bhagavan by the devotees. It is called Advaya because material energy is a Shakti, and Shaktiman are one, because he is completely different from the Jivas in illusion. Advaya meaning unique, because the Jivas are distinct amshas or parts of the whole, identity of part and whole. There is identity of part and whole. And because no one is in the same position as the Lord. Advayam meaning having no equal. So that is the understanding Advayam here. According to the devotees, though Bhagavan is still pure Gyan, as the yogis and Gyanis agree, he has a form possessing the 6 qualities described by the word Bhaga, which are non-material because of form, because the form is pure consciousness. Thus it is said in the Vishnu Puran, Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasya Shriya Jnana Vairagyo Chaiva Shannam Bhaga Itin Gana. Bhaga of 6 parts is defined. Shannam Bhaga Itin Gana. Gana means, parts. Shannam. Shannam means 6. Bhaga. Bhaga is what? Is defined. What is it? Complete control. Aishwarya Samagrasya. Complete influence. Viryasya. Complete excellence. Qualities of body, mind, and words, yasha, complete beauty or wealth, shriya, complete knowledge, jnana, and complete detachment from worldly affairs, vairagya yascha eva. So this is the definition of Bhagavan. This is the definition of Bhagavan. That is, the form of pure consciousness for the Jnanis who possesses 6 qualities. So this is the definition of Bhagavan according to the devotees. And then he gives the second quotation. Jnana Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Balaishwarya, Veera, Tejamsha, Asheshata, Bhagavad Shabda, Vachani, Vina, Her, Gunadibi. The word Bhagavan means Bhagavad Shabda Vachani. When the word Bhagavan you say, to be endowed with unlimited knowledge, Asheshata Jnana, sense power, Shakti, bodily strength, Bala, power of control, Aishwarya, influence and beauty, Veera Tejamsi, without inferior gunas, Vina, Her, Gunadibi. So, this is the subtle difference between the Paramatmavaji's conception of Bhagavan, understanding, and the devotee's understanding of Bhagavan. There are inferior, without inferior gunas. Whereas the yogis are ascribing the universe as material, and they are conceptualizing that this is the Lord, and that is the Paramatma in the form of the gross Virata Purusha, or the subtle Sukshma in the form of conception, in the form of the Paramatma in the heart. So that conception is, they think it is material, but they think that it is having, it is perceiving. I am able to perceive that someone is perceiving me. He's the Sakshi, and I'm also conscious that he is perceiving me. He is seeing me. I am seeing him. When there is love, love begins with, when you see someone and somebody sees you, right? That is beginning. So there is, that's it, seeing. If there is no further development, in the form of exchanges of talking or, serving, that is Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, in all the relationships. But there is only seeing, that's it. I see him, he sees me. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mahi pashyati. Tasya ham na pranashyami, sacha me na pranashyati. So here the word pranashyati means that, there is no destruction in the form of that I am always seeing him, he is always seeing me. That is their Paramatma conception, which is in Shantarati. But when Krishna says, Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati, you know, that my devotee, will, his consciousness of my relationship with him, because it is developed based on love and loving reciprocations, that will not be destroyed. So there is a little difference in the meaning of word the pranashati. So that's why uh, this is a superior understanding of that gyan, which is non-material. That's very important. That's why I was focusing on non-material, because it is vina hair gunadibi. Though he is situated within and without in various forms of pure consciousness with two or four hands, and though there is eternally a difference between himself and the jiva is served and the servant, he is still Advaya, or one. That is the difference between the jiva and the difference between the jiva and the Lord is eternal, is stated in the Skanda Puran. Na chaivante hi mad bhakta mahatam pralayad api. My devotees are not destroyed even at the time of pralaya. And I quoted somehow incidentally, it was not there in my mind, Kaunteya Pratijani Name Bhakta Pranashyati. So, uh, this is the, this is the, there is the conception in the Bhagavan aspect of the servant and the served. It's not just, oh, somebody is perceiving me and I am being perceived. Chit, chit means to be conscious that I am being perceived by someone and somebody is perceiving me. The word Advaya negates any conception of difference, since one must consider non-difference between the Lord and his Shaktis, spiritual actions, and abodes. The Jnani who selects the general form of the Lord is qualified for Brahman, The yogi who accepts the Lord as the soul within all beings, who possesses qualities like being a witness, and who is different from the jiva, is qualified for realization of Brahman, Paramatma. The devotee who accepts the Lord, who possesses an inconceivable and infinite form of knowledge and bliss, Ananda. Here, Ananda is being included, with infinite qualities and pastimes, is qualified for realizing Bhagavan. So, there are, when you love someone, you love because he has some qualities. And that love goes one step ahead in serving. And love means, service. And that, you know, service of the Lord and his devotees in the spiritual world is what is called as Leela. That is the term used, Leela, pastimes. So the Lord performs Leela with his devotees, the devotees perform Leela with the Lords. Because there is, personhood there, the infinite form of knowledge and consciousness, bliss. So that is how that there is a realization of Bhagwan. So those are qualified for each of them is being mentioned very clearly here. Actually, he alone exists. This is shown in the following verses. Actually, he alone exists. Aho bhagyam nanda gopa vrajokasam yan mitram paramanandam unam brahma sanatanam. How greatly fortunate are Aho bhagyam Nanda Maharaj, Nanda, the cowherd man, Gopa, and the other inhabitants of Rajbhumi, Vrajokasam. There is no limit to their good fortune. Aho Bhagyam was the absolute truth, Purnam, the source of transcendental bliss, Paramanam, Nanda, the eternal supreme Brahman, Brahma, Sanatanam, has become their friend, Yan Mitram. Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Hare Paramatmane, Pranata Klesha Nashaya, Govindaya Namo Nama. Again and again we offer obeisances, Namo Nama, unto Lord Krishna, Krishnaya. Unto means Krishnaya. Hari, Hare, the son of Vasudeva, Vasudevaya. That Krishna, Supreme, Paramatma, Paramatmane, Govindaya, vanquishes the suffering of all who surrender to him. Pranata Klesha Nashaya. Brahmano hi Pratishta Aham. I am the basis of Brahman. So all these three references Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is proving. Vishtabhyam idam Krishnam ekamshina sito jagat. I pervade this universe by my one portion Paramatma. So in that sense, the Lord is Advaya. This is also shown by the attainment of prema for the worshippers of Bhagwan. Because the worshippers of Brahman and Paramatma do not attain prema, it can be seen that Bhagwan is the root of other forms, though Bhagwan is both Brahman and Paramatma. The yogi worshipping Paramatma is superior to the Gyanis who worship the Brahman. But the worshipper of Bhagwan is superior to the yogis. This hierarchy is seen in the Gita. So this has been seen the tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi jnanibhyopi matodika karmibhyaschadiko yogi tasmat yogi bhavarjuna yoginamapi sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam samayukta tamo matah. According to me, the yogi is better than the tapasvi. Tapasvipyo adhiko yogi. Better than a jnani. So this is the yogi who is Paramatmavadi, who worships. So the yogi is superior to the tapasvi, is superior to the jnani. So this statement has been proved how Paramatmavadi is superior to the jnanis here in this verse. And better than a karma yogi. Therefore be a yogi, Arjuna. But I consider he who worships me with faith, with mind attached to me, yoginam api sarvesham. Among all these yogis, madgate nantaratmana, mind attached to me, with faith, worships me, bhajate. Bhajan means, there has to be person. huh? Bhajate. huh? to be greater than all types of yogis. So this verse proves that Bhagwan worshippers are superior to the Paramatma yogi and the Brahman Gyanis. Ramanacharya explains that the possessive case of the yogis, yoginam, actually means the ablative case, then the yogis. It is then the yogis. So then these yogis, it's mentioning. Okay, so that completes the discussion on Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary on this. Any questions anyone has? Two questions. Birendra Yadav, Taurappa Prabhuji. Yes, Taurappa Prabhuji. Just a second. I want to hear. Just a second. Yeah, tell me, Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु, दंडक प्रणाम प्रभु, तीर्थपाद दास प्रभु.
Yes, Prabhuji, tell me.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhuji, many places we see, like in Bhagavad Gita also, yeah, not Bhagavad Gita, like the size of the soul and the size of the Paramatma, like 1 by 10,000 part, yeah, size of Paramatma is 8 inches. So, is it to actually to break the other philosophies in a relative actually the size, because if you see the Paramatma is there in a ant also, how it can be 8 inches, so like that.
Yeah, this question comes up. Actually, the size, we'll first come to the size of the soul and then we'll come to the Paramatma. Now, the size of the soul, it is mentioned as 1/10,000 part of the tip of the hair. uh, that is the spiritual dimension. And, you can see things smaller than that, through microscope and all. There are some finer things, white, 1/10,000, 1/25,000, 1/50,000 also we can see. The point is that the soul in the spiritual world has form and personality. Uh, but again, now we'll not go to that in the spiritual world, just to make the point I'm telling. But it comes in this world in the form of a bija. Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam. Bija, in the form of seed. And these seeds are eternal, the spiritual spark seeds. So just to give that idea, and just like matter can expand, spirit can expand and have. That's why Prabhupada says that, there now, this subtle spiritual seed, within it, there are the senses and the spiritual senses, but now they are uncovered. Now we have the gross senses of the body. So that's how, we have to understand that. Now, again, this Pradesha Matra, know, the 8 inches or the 9 inches from the thumb to the, I think, the forefinger, something like this, I don't recollect. This Pradesh Matra is actually, it's not the size of the Paramatma, and that Paramatma is having this size. And as Prabhuji was pointing out, uh, and in the ant, ant is very small, so how such a big Paramatma is there? So the Paramatma, it's again a conception tool given for the yogis to meditate that this is the size of the Paramatma. They try to fix that in that box. Just like, to give an example, you have an object and you have a covered sheet covering that object, and the sun rays are there, and you'll have to make a slot, a particular slot, and exactly the sun rays, which are sun which is falling from a particular height, also has to match. It has to match, uh, and then when it passes through the hole, then you can see the object. So similarly, uh, the the size of that hole has to be perfect, and that's why uh, the conception is given Pradesha Matra, where they conceive, and the Lord can, you know, reveal himself within that size. Within that size, he'll come and he can reveal to the Paramatmavadis. So that is a conception again, Pradesh, which doesn't mean that this is the size of the Paramatma. It's Anyor Aniyam, Manyor Mahato Mahiyam. He can take the size of a smallest of the smallest atom and the biggest of the biggest, like in the form of the Virata Purusha. So there is a Lord is apramaya in the form of Bhagavan, he can be the smallest of the smallest and the biggest of the biggest. It's not that that is the size of the Paramatma. It's a conception tool used. And again, this might be still difficult to understand, but I don't know whether you are aware. In South India, there are some temples where, you know, and scientists are also bewildered how they had such technology that in the front, when you enter the temple, there is a gopuram, there's a tall, a structure which goes, and then inside there is a temple. And I had visited one particular temple uh, in Hampi, where it is said that in that uh, front gopuram entrance, there is a particular hole at sunrise. Exactly from that hole, the light rays pass, and straight you can have the full darshan of the deities. Exactly at sunrise. Exactly at sunrise. So that hole which is there of a particular size. So similarly, that Pradesha Matra, the conception, they have to conceive the Lord of a Pradesha Matra having this, the description is given in the Shastra, and that description, according to that, they start meditating, and the Lord might reveal his form within that size. Is it clear, Tirthapath Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu.
Any other question anyone else had? Any question? Yeah, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna, bro. Bro, just one clarification. These Gyanis, we understand that their Gyan is not perfect. They are just having knowledge of Brahman feature of Lord. Why bro, they are referred as Gyani, though their knowledge is not perfect?
They have Gyan, they have knowledge of the absolute truth, but they are able to only access the Sat feature of the absolute truth. Somebody sees a green mountain from far off and he says it is green. That knowledge is there, but he thinks everything is green, nothing else is there. But actually that green is, there are trees with birds, and there are, that he's seeing from far. No? So that's why I yesterday also explained that if you're seeing the DT but you have myopic vision, you have a 10 number glass, and you're seeing, because your eyes are defective, you're seeing them just as one blur light. So that knowledge is there, light is there, light means knowledge, but it is not the complete realization of the absolute truth. It is only partial realization. That's what Prabhupada explains. That's why that Gyan is, it's not complete. But there is Gyan. So that's why they have that Gyan, the eternity aspect of the absolute truth. Okay?
Right.
Okay. So we'll now go to the next verse. The next verse, how they can realize the absolute truth is being defined here in this verse. Tat Shaddadana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyant Atmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. The seriously inquisitive student or sage. Tat Shraddhadhana Munayo. Well equipped with knowledge and detachment, Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya, realizes the absolute truth, Pashyanti Atmani Chatmanam, by rendering devotional service after hearing from Guru. Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. Shruta means to hear. Now, this is Prabhupada's translation, I think. I particularly put this Prabhupada translation because Vishnu Thakur, yes, Prabhupada, directly, explains how the devotees realize the absolute truth as Bhagwan here. But Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, as far as I remember, uh, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's translation is not here. Somehow I don't know it. I'll share that. How Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. Oh, there is some. There is some confusion. Okay. Okay, let's go to Prabhupada purport, and then when we go to Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, I'll explain the deeper understanding of this verse translation. The absolute truth is realized by the process of devotional service to the Lord, Vasudev, or the personality Godhead, who is full-fledged absolute truth. So Prabhupada directly giving the bhakti perspective here. Brahman is his transcendental body effulgence and Paramatma is his partial representation. As such, Brahman or Paramatma realization of the absolute truth is but a partial realization. I made that point. There are 4 different types of human beings: the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the devotees. The karmis are materialistic, whereas the other 3 are transcendental. So karmis means those who are following the Vedas, the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas. The Karma Yogis, they are actually material people who are in the material world also working without the direction of the Vedas. They are also sometimes called as karmis, but that is different term there. When we call them karmis, here we mean that they are following varnashram. The first class transcendentalists are the devotees who have realized the Supreme Person. The second class transcendentalists are those who have partially realized the plenary portion of the absolute truth. Because the Paramatma is the plenary portion of the absolute truth. And the third class transcendentalists are those who have barely realized the spiritual focus of the absolute person, that light. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita and other literatures, the Supreme Person is realized by devotional service, which is backed by full knowledge and detachment from material association. We have already discussed the point that devotional service is followed by knowledge and detachment from material association. Vasudeva Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, Janeti Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Yattad Ahetukam. So this is the point Prabhupada is making. As Brahman and Paramatma are imperfect realizations of the absolute truth, so the means of realizing Brahman and Paramatma, that is the paths of Jnana and Yoga, are also imperfect means of realizing the absolute truth. So Prabhupada makes a very emphatic point. So because they are imperfect realizations of absolute truth, so the paths are also imperfect. Devotional service, which is based on the foreground of full knowledge combined with detachment from material association, which is fixed by the oral reception of the Vedanta Shruti, is the only perfect method by which the seriously inquisitive student can realize the absolute truth. Devotional service is not therefore meant for the less intelligent class of transcendentalists, because the highest transcendentalist is a devotee. He's the first class transcendentalist. So Prabhupada doesn't go into, Pashyanti Atmana Atmanam. So Pashyanti Atma Atmanam, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is going to explain. The Jnanis perceive him as consciousness. For them, Pashyanti will be that. And Pashyanti Atmana Atmanam, the yogis realize them in the heart as Paramatma. And for devotees, they realize him in his deity form or Sakshat form as Bhagwan. That is by bhakti. So all three explanations Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is going to give, but Prabhupada focuses, because we are not so keen. First of all, he defeats that these are imperfect paths. The highest perfect path is bhakti. So Prabhupada just says focus on bhakti. There are three classes of devotees, namely first, second, and third class. Now, what is Prabhupada now, after establishing devotional service as the topmost path to realize the absolute truth, and it is the first class transcendentalist? Now, when he says, devotional service path, there are devotees. There is bhakta, there is bhakti, and Bhagwan. Now, till now, Prabhupada has established bhakti is the highest path to realize Bhagwan. And now he is coming to the bhakta. And there are three types of bhaktas, devotees: first, second, and third class. Okay. Now, what are the terminologies, terms used for this first, second, and third class? Anyone knows? Raise your hands. I want to see others also. Okay. First, we'll give chance to Reena Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Is it Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari?
Excellent. Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama. Very good. The third class devotees, now please read carefully what Prabhupada is saying here. The third class devotees are the neophytes who have no knowledge and are not detached from material association, but who are simply attracted by the plenary process of worshipping the deity in the temple are called material devotees. So this is the definition of Prakrita Bhakta. They have no knowledge, they are not detached from material association, and they are simply attracted to the preliminary process of deity worship. Archa eva eva hare. That's what is the definition, Prabhupada. Na tad bhakteshu chanyeshu sa prakrita spita. And then these are material devotees. Please remember, those who are Kanishta are material devotees. Material devotees are more attached to material benefit than transcendental profit. So that means a Kanishtika Adhikari is more interested in, I'll go to the class not to relish Krishna Katha, but after the class I get prasad, na? That is the main purpose. This is secondary, but this should be the primary. So that is their conception. Therefore, one has to make a definitive progress from the position of the material devotional service to the second class devotional position, Madhyama. In the second class position, the devotee can see four principles in devotional line, namely the personality of Godhead, his devotees, the ignorant, and the envious. Ishwar tad adineshu bhaleshu Vishat Sapi. Prem Maitri Kripa Peksha Sa Iha Karoti Sa Madhyama. So you can see these four things. One has to raise himself at least to the stage of second class devotee and thus become eligible to know the absolute truth. So at least one has to come to the stage of Madhyama. And Madhyama is a very, very, very advanced stage for your kind information. Please remember that. It's a very elevated platform of a Madhyama Adhikar. A third class devotee therefore has to receive instructions of devotional service from the authoritative sources of the Bhagavata. The number one Bhagavata is the established personality of devotee. So Prabhupada, see how we say personality of Godhead? The Mahabhagavat is called as the personality of devotee. That's why sometimes the Mahabhagavats also addressed as Bhagwan. They given the title Bhagwan, Bhagwan Narada, Bhagwan Vyasa, Bhagwan Badarayani, Shukdev Goswami. But they are not called as Sri Bhagwan. Sri Bhagwan is always reserved for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the, he's as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sakshat Haritvina. And other Bhagavatam is the message of Godhead. So they have to receive sources, authoritative sources of Bhagavat from the Vyakti Bhagavat, the Grantha Bhagavat. The third class devotee therefore has to go to the personality of devotee in order to learn the instructions of devotee. So now Prabhupada is giving instruction to us who are third class devotees that how we should come to the stage of Madhyama. Go to the Bhagavat and hear Bhagavat Katha from him. Such a personality devotee is not a professional man who earns his livelihood by the business of Bhagavatam. Such a devotee must be a representative of Sukadeva Goswami, like Sut Goswami, and must preach the cult of devotional service for the all-round good benefit of all people. A neophyte devotee has very little taste. See the point, very little taste. 1 second, there is some distraction. Okay. He has very little taste of hearing. Such a devotified devotees makes a show of hearing from the professional man to satisfy senses. This sort of hearing and chanting has spoiled the whole thing. So one should be very careful about the faulty process. The holy messages of Godhead, as inculcated in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Bhagavatam, are undoubtedly transcendental subjects. But even though they are so, such transcendental matters are not to be received from the professional man who spoils them as a serpent spoils milk simply by touch of his tongue. So the professional person tongue which the Bhagavatam is vibrated is like the milk touched by a poisonous snake. Milk looks white, pure, nectar. It is nectar for the body. But the professional reciters of Bhagavatam, when they recite, it is actually not nectar for the ears, it is poison for the heart. So that is the comparison done. A sincere devotee must therefore be prepared to hear the Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Vedanta, and other literatures left by the previous authorities or Goswamis for the benefit of his progress. So the Kanishta must be sincere and he should be ready to hear. He has very little taste, Prabhupada is mentioning. So we should be ready to hear Upanishads. Prabhupada is saying Vedanta also, and all the Goswami literatures. So we are not having that kind of, who has taste for reading, studying Upanishads? At least we should have taste to study the Gita Upanishads and the Vedanta in the form of the Bhagavatam, and all the Goswami literatures are there, unlimited literatures are there. It is enough for this lifetime for us. We can spend another 20, 30 years, just studying the Goswami literatures. What to speak of what Prabhupada has given as Gita, Bhagavatam, Ishopanishads, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. We don't even make an attempt to study in the next 10, 15 years. We take 10, 15 years to finish studying this. Next 30, 40 years we can study that much. That is for the benefit of our progress. Without hearing such literatures, one cannot make actual progress. Mark the statement of Prabhupada. Mark the statement. If you don't hear, you cannot make progress. And without hearing and following the instructions, the show of devotional service becomes worthless and therefore a sort of disturbance in the path of devotional service. My observation, I'm telling, please don't mind, whenever there is a festival, temple program, devotees come and serve. They do all the services related to, for the festival, like getting the decoration done, garlands, running here and for all the arrangement of the Abhishek. And then when the class starts, they're not there in the class sometimes. Most of them, they're wandering here and then in the class, they're not attentive. Whereas they're very active in running and doing all service, which is also important. But Prabhupada is saying, without hearing, you cannot make progress. And when you hear and what you have heard, then you start acting upon it. Upadesh Amrita. When you hear, first you have to understand the Upadesh and then start acting. And if you don't do that, Prabhupada is making a very heavy comment here. Please mark this. The show of devotional service becomes worthless and sort of disturbance in the path of devotional service. So our own devotees will create disturbance in our society. No, they start fighting. Neophyte means they bring up new fights. That's it. That is a definition of a neophyte. Bring up everyday new fights. Only a Madhyama is one who understands, has a higher vision of preaching mission and has that compassion. And all these other things, he leaves them as flimsy. He understands there is a higher arrangement. Neophyte, small things he brings up. Neophyte. Unless, therefore, devotional service is established on the principles of Shruti, Smriti, Puran, and Pancharatra authorities, the make show of devotional service should at once be rejected. Prabhupada is quoting Bhakti Rasamrita, Shruti, Smriti, Puran, Adi, Panchratrik Vidim Vina, Aikanta Harer Bhaktir, Utpadeva Kalpate. An unauthorized devotee should never be recognized as a pure devotee. Who is this unauthorized devotee? Anyone knows? Raise your hands. Who is this unauthorized devotee? Yes, Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. You can correct me. Is it someone who is not in the line of parampara, like from this four paramparas? Authentic Gunapara.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes. Lakshmi Narasimhan Prabhuji. Where are you? I'm searching you. Yes. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji. Is it Prakrita Sahaja?
Yes. The Prakritas Bhakta. Even, one who is a Kanishta is not a pure devotee in one sense. By assimilation of such messages from the Vedic literatures, one can see the all-pervading localized aspect of the personality recorded within his own self constantly. So if you don't hear only, first of all, you have to hear, you have to understand, and you have to assimilate it. Prabhupada is not saying by hearing such messages, no, by assimilating. So he's speaking about the concept of, the education, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasan, or Shravanam, Aditi, Bodha, Achara, and Prachar. So one only who has assimilated the Vedic knowledge, he can understand that this Paramatma, Prabhupada gives a definition of Krishna conscious. To be always conscious that the Lord is present in the heart is Krishna consciousness. Let me know, Lord is present in my heart and He's taking care of me and He's present in everyone's heart. And to connect everyone's heart to Krishna is Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is giving the definition of Krishna consciousness. This is called samadhi. So speaking about the devotional samadhi here. Very, very beautiful purport. Okay, Vishwanath Chakraga's commentary on this, we will take it up next week. But any questions up till now? Yes, Pirendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, just one clarification. When we say Lord is present in our heart, from devotee's point of view, we should see him as Lord Krishna or Paramatma. How do we see?
Yes, very good. Very good question. Samoham sarva bhuteshu na me dveshti na sapriya. Ye bhajante to maam bhaktya. So when Krishna says Samoham sarva bhuteshu, he's speaking about this Paramatma feature where he's neutral. So the Paramatma is neutral for everyone in this world. According to, he desires, the Jiva desires, the Paramatma sees whether in his karma bank, it can be, he has the adhikar to, to get what he desires. If he doesn't have adhikar, he might endeavor, he'll not get it because the Paramatma doesn't sanction. He acts very neutral. But the same Paramatma acts as a Chaitya Guru and he guides the devotee in the form of within and without in the form of spiritual master. So that time the Paramatma changes his role. And even if he doesn't have adhikar, the devotee wants something and Krishna will see that maybe this is not good. He has karma to get that. But Krishna will say, no, according to karma, I'll not sanction it. Because he loves him. Ye bhajanti. Love means, there is Bhagavan, person. So he will tell, no, his karma bank, it is there that he can get that, but I'll not give him that artha because it will be an obstacle in attaining me. So he'll not give. That is the Bhagavan feature. That is the Bhagavan feature. So it is for the devotees, it's more the Lord acting in his Bhagavan feature. Is it clear?
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Hare Krishna.